I'm going to solve this linear system by graphing. In particular, I'm going to use a TI-83 Plus to do the graphing. First, I'm going to rearrange both equations. I'm going to get them both in the y equals mx plus b form. That's the form I need them in order to enter them into the graphing calculator. 5x plus 4y equals negative 1. I'll call that equation 1. 2x minus 3y equals negative 28. I'll call that equation 2. Let's consider equation 1. 5x plus 4y equals negative 1. So I want to get that in y equals mx plus b form. So I want y by itself on the left-hand side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5x from the left-hand side. But if I subtract 5x from the left-hand side, I must also subtract 5x from the right-hand side. 5x minus 5x will be 0. So on the left-hand side, I'll have 0 plus 4y. On the right-hand side, I'm going to rearrange this piece. Instead of writing it as negative 1 minus 5x, I'm going to write it as negative 5x minus 1. 0 plus 4y on the left is going to be just 4y, and on the right I've got negative 5x minus 1. Now 4y means 4 times y. So to get y by itself on the left-hand side, I'm going to divide the left-hand side by 4. But because I divide the left-hand side by 4, I must divide both pieces on the right-hand side by 4 as well. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I'll have 1 times y on the left-hand side. So I'm just going to have y left on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to have negative 5 over 4x minus 1 over 4. So I've rearranged equation 1, and it's now in y equals mx plus b form. Let's consider equation 2. 2x minus 3y equals negative 28. So I want to get it in y equals mx plus b form. In other words, I want to get y by itself on the left-hand side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2x from the left-hand side. But because I subtract 2x from the left-hand side, I must also subtract 2x from the right-hand side. 2x minus 2x is 0. So on the left-hand side, I'll have 0 minus 3y. On the right-hand side, I'm going to rearrange this piece. Instead of writing negative 28 minus 2x, I'm going to write that as negative 2x minus 28. 0 minus 3y on the left will give me negative 3y, and on the right I've got negative 2x minus 28. Negative 3y means negative 3 times y. So to get the y by itself on the left-hand side, I'm going to divide the left-hand side by negative 3. But because I divide the left-hand side by negative 3, then I must divide both pieces on the right-hand side by negative 3 as well. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to have 1 times y, which is just going to be y on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, negative 2x divided by negative 3, that will give me 2 over 3x. In other words, the negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. 28 divided by negative 3, well, I can think of that as negative 28 over 3. But recall, in the center here, we have a minus. So we have a minus a negative 28 divided by 3. Well, a minus a negative 28 divided by 3 will be plus 28 over 3. So I end up with y equals 2 over 3x plus 28 over 3. And the second equation is now in the y equals mx plus b form. So let's graph these using the graphing calculator. So I'll bring up the graphing calculator. You can follow my keystrokes. Turn it on. I'll go to y equals. So let's enter the first equation. Y equals negative 5 over 4x minus 1 over 4. I'm going to use a bracket here. I'm going to use the negative key next to the enter key. 5 divided by 4 x key minus 1 divided by 4. So there's the first equation entered. Let's come down to the second line. and I'll enter the second equation, y equals 2 over 3x plus 28 over 3. X plus 28 by 3. So there's the second equation entered into the graphing calculator. Now let's graph the two equations. So I'm going to hit the graph key. And those are the graphs of the two equations. Now the solution to the linear system is right here somewhere where those graphs are intersecting. So let's use the graphing calculator to determine what that intersection point is. I want to get this calc feature. To get that calc feature, I've got to press the second key and the trace key. And I want number 5 here, the intersect. And you can either scroll down or you can pick 5. So I'm picking 5. I want the intersection point. First curve question mark, I'm just going to press enter. Second curve question mark, I'm just going to press enter. Guess question mark, I'm just going to press enter. And the graphing calculator is giving me an intersection point of x equals -5, y equals 6. And you can see the little cursor flashing here. So the intersection point is x equals -5, y equals 6. X equals -5, y equals 6. And that will be the solution to this particular linear system of equations.